blast from the past of my reporting on the Russia collusion lie beginning in 2018 and throughout the last several years. Joining me right now is former senior counsel to President Trump, pollster and Fox News contributor, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, it's great to see you. I know that you called for Adam Schiff to be taken out of Congress a long time ago. Your thoughts on this Durham report and more evidence and news, of course, something that we reported many years ago, that this was completely made up by the Clinton campaign.
Yes, good for Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna for issuing this resolution, because Adam Schiff has not just proven himself to lie as the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, but now he's running for United States Senate, Maria, in California, and he ought to be stopped, because you cannot allow this person to elevate to the next position. Not only did he lie the entire time on television, where he was never under oath, that we have ample evidence of collusion in plain sight. He just couldn't talk about it any further to Jake Tapper, but Tapper, of course, nodded like a bobblehead doll and took that, accepted it from Clapper and Brennan and Schiff. But Adam Schiff took it a step further. I want to bring everybody to 6 months after I first called for Adam Schiff to resign in March of 2019, to September of 2019, where Adam Schiff gave this ridiculously farcical, mimicking, dramatic opening to the Ukraine call impeachment hearings, where he was impersonating Donald Trump having a call with Ukraine President Zelensky, but nobody knew what was going on. We were all watching it in the White House and saying, what is he doing? And he then said, well, it was just meant to be a joke. It was parody. This is no joke. Let me tell you something. I worked in that White House, Maria. I would go on TV and I'd try to talk about the economic plan, the Jobs Act, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act plan, the energy independence, the deregulation, the opioid crisis, you name it, and we would be stopped with whatever we were doing. What about Russia collusion? The network spent the equivalent of 2 full days over 2 years in coverage of something that simply didn't exist.
Right.
So people say, what's going to happen now? It's too little, too late. Some of my colleagues had to pay money they didn't have on lawyers they needed to defend against things that just weren't true.
Right.
Hakeem Jeffries is the top Democrat in the House right now. He went on the Sunday show right before the Mueller report came out and said that Donald Trump is a Russian agent. So the heads have to roll. I want to see investigations.
Yeah.
I think that we have to have investigations, put people under oath. I just want to remind your viewers quickly that people in Congress are putting their witnesses under oath. They are never under oath.
I know.
Time to get some of them under oath.
I totally agree, and I've been calling for that as well. But, you know, not on this network, by the way. I led our coverage on this network that the Russia collusion story was a made-up story by Hillary Clinton. And, you know, it's outrageous because of what you just said. It put a sitting president on defense. And while he had to constantly keep saying, I didn't collude, we should have been focused on China and the threat there. And to his credit, President Trump was focused on China. He had Xi Jinping at Mar-a-Lago and knew that this was the threat that it is back then, even though he was constantly on defense answering that question, did you collude? Let's talk about 2024 for a second here. A new Reuters Ipsos poll shows President Biden with a slim lead over both President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Biden apparently leading Trump 38% to 36%, while he leads DeSantis 37% to 33%. DeSantis is reportedly launching his presidential bid next week, but a new Morning Consult poll shows Trump with a 43-point lead over DeSantis. Kellyanne, your thoughts on how 2024 is coming together?
Sure. So the key to all these polls, Maria, is not the margin of difference, Trump, Biden, DeSantis. It's that everyone's going to be way under 50% in all of these polls for a very long time. So the concern and the threat to either Biden or Trump, if they're the nominees, or even DeSantis or whoever the nominees are, let's just say Biden and Trump, is the third-party candidacy. Because look at what happened in 1992. Ross Perot did not win electoral votes, but he got 19% of the popular vote nationwide, and it was enough to swing an election to Bill Clinton, who only got about 43.5% of the popular vote when he was elected 30 years ago. So I can see that happening again, where the Democrats make sure there's some self-funder who can take votes away from Donald Trump. You can't get Joe Biden past 42, 43% in most polls or nationwide. And the way you win a presidential election, Maria, is through the Electoral College, not through the fiction of electability. It doesn't matter that donors who have never made a penny of their billions giving political advice are telling Ron DeSantis, you're the guy. You can beat Trump and you can beat Biden. That's called electability. It's a fiction. Trump himself disproved that completely. So I think that everybody's going to be under 50 for a very long time. Those polls show them all under 40.
Yeah.
Because I think those polls very smartly did not push undecided voters to making a choice now a full year and a half before the election.
Yeah.
Look, DeSantis has to go and win MAGA voters. How is he going to do that? He talks about COVID. The idea that in 2024, Republican primary voters want to talk about COVID is silly and a little too much on the woke. So if DeSantis comes out and he's got an economic plan, he can prove his national security, foreign policy bona fides, because governors usually don't have those, then maybe, but he hasn't dipped into the MAGA vote.
Yeah, there are a number of people who had endorsed Ron DeSantis who actually now flipped. Newsweek is reporting there's a list of Ron DeSantis endorsements who've now flopped. Now they're back endorsing President Trump. But look, we want to show this migrant bus because another migrant bus just showed up in New York City right now at Port Authority. This is a live picture here where we are watching, obviously, immigrants coming into New York City. Having been bused here from Texas, they are now at Port Authority. We do not know where they're going to go. But, of course, Mayor Adams has been sending them to suburbs of New York City. There's also lots of plans in place to turn gymnasiums, school gymnasiums into a housing situation for these illegals. President Trump is still slamming DeSantis. He's slamming a bill from Governor DeSantis which would ban abortion after 6 weeks. Trump is calling it too harsh for pro-life voters. Here's the Florida governor's response to that. Watch this.
And I think that as a Florida resident, he didn't give an answer about would you have signed the heartbeat bill that Florida did, that had all the exceptions that people talk about. The legislature put it in. I signed the bill. I was proud to do it. He won't answer whether he would sign it or not.
Kellyanne, I want to get your take on this topic. Let me bring in Tiana. A similar question, right, Tiana?
Yeah. Hi, Kellyanne. I mean, so we saw in the midterms, Mike DeWine signing in that 6-week ban didn't cost him too much. Brian Kemp signing in a 6-week ban didn't cost him too much. But Trump's position is close, according to the polls, to the median American position. Do you think that DeSantis signing in a 6-week ban would hurt him in a way that, say, the North Carolina Republicans signing in a 12-week ban wouldn't hurt them?
So what Ron DeSantis did is sign a bill that the Florida legislature that represents the people of Florida put on his desk. The question is, if he got to the Oval, what would a very split Washington put on his desk? They're not going to put a 6-week bill on his desk. And I think that what's happening is that the pro-life community waited 50 years to overturn Roe versus Wade. It's going to take more than 50 minutes or even 50 weeks to start to change hearts and minds. And as a pro-lifer, I believe in having a clear, compelling message on this, but also a compassionate one. Donald Trump doesn't need to answer Ron DeSantis' question about 6 weeks because he's been the most pro-life president in U.S. history. It's in the bank. And I think for Trump, he very quickly pointed out yesterday that without him, people would still be flailing around, and we wouldn't have 3 Supreme Court justices who helped in the Dobbs decision. We wouldn't have Mexico City policy. We wouldn't have these qualified women's health centers with money that would have gone to Planned Parenthood. And so he created a culture of life. And he took, at last point, he took the case to Hillary Clinton. Everybody should go watch October 19, 2016. It's Trump who said to Hillary, you're the extremist on here. You'd rip that baby out of its mother's womb an hour before birth. He changed the whole conversation. Yeah, I know. Well, everybody said, ooh, and I did a cartwheel 20 yards away from him at that debate because pro-lifers had never talked to him. He's a true convert, Maria. For most of his adult life, a male Manhattan billionaire real estate developer who was pro-choice became the most pro-life president in history. But I'll tell you what, I've talked to some Ron DeSantis donors in Florida. They didn't see the 6-week ban coming. They're the ones who are upset.
Kellyanne, real quick, who do you think is going to be the GOP candidate?
Donald Trump.
It'll be Donald Trump.
And Ron DeSantis wasted 6 months. He wasted 6 months not really engaging in a way. He figured, I can wait. And he's got some really strong wins as a conservative governor in Florida in this latest session. But Trump's so far ahead, and the base loves Trump, and they'll be there with him.
Well, we'll see how the reaction plays out this upcoming week when DeSantis is expected to announce officially. Kellyanne, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here this morning.